Hello, everybody. It's your boy Jobbers and Goons, and today we see if it's worth a revisit to a series I had done in the past, with, of course, a little bit more of a twist to it in that better editing, layout, and it's more from the narrative sense of explaining the inverse cosmology. And that is, of course, the Exploring the Cosmology series. I don't know if I have a playlist for it yet. If I don't, I'm going to make one at the time you see this video, and smash the like button if you want to see more content like this. The next video related to this that I would drop would be the Dark Souls Exploring Cosmology video. But in this video, we're going to explore the infamous Adventure Time Cosmology, a hit cartoon show that is surprisingly powerful, and I think it's going to catch a lot of you off guard. So lock in, let's hit 300 likes to get the Dark Souls Cosmology video. And without further ado, strap on in, and I'm looking forward to helping you explore the Adventure Time Cosmology. Now, there are universes and multiverses for which we see scattered throughout the many dimensions of creation in Adventure Time. How did it get to be this complex? How did it get to be this stacking of universes within this cosmic sentient multiverse? Well, you see, each universe, each dimension is merely a dream. There is countless dreamers dreaming of the next universe, creation, dimension, whatever you want to call it. And all of these stack to make up the multiverse that we consider to be creation itself in the grand scheme of the cosmology. Space and time as we know it, or how we typically portray time, that itself is compared to an infinitely spanning tree. This tree is also related to Hilbert space, which is extra dimensional via the description we often get for Hilbert space, and that this type of space contains infinite dimensional structures within it and continues to go on. So obviously it has some pretty crazy cosmological stacking even early into the cosmology of Adventure Time. This shows that even the basic universes, the ones we know best, like the Land of Oo, this is something that is much larger than we could have anticipated, and frankly, most of us expected. Before I undertook this adventure, which was a sponsored video that has been long awaited, when I undertook this video, I had no idea how crazy the cosmology would get, because before that, I wasn't really into Adventure Time. However, a good friend of mine, an author you have seen on this channel quite often, he writes Adventure Time comics and has written them before, so he helped me get into the cosmology. So shout out to Josh, of course, for helping with that. Now, space, we kind of covered in terms of where we would explore first in the vast expanse multiverse. Let's talk about that same multiverse that we're exploring. This multiverse is also sentient and is called paradoxically and infinitely spanning in nature, as well as containing both truths and falsities. Essentially, when we look at this statement and how it's described as a sentient multiverse, this is a fancy way to say creation in its entirety exceeds even concepts, exceeds even philosophical notions of right and wrong, fact and fiction. Magic, as it exists in Adventure Time, is a major aspect to the cosmology as a whole. Technically, all things are magic. Why? Well, magic is linked to both the mental plane and creation itself within the Adventure Time cosmology. Anything that can be mentally encompassed and considered an idea or dream would thus compose creation. It also means that magic extends to all of these aspects we have mentioned within the multiverse itself, thus giving the idea of magic a very powerful ramification within the verse. The reader also fits into the cosmology. We're going to touch on how that is the case. You see, even as a viewer right now, technically you would fall within the cosmology here, which is fun to think about. Now, the reader is constantly referenced throughout works by both narrators, characters, and cosmic beings. With the idea of dreamers and imagination having such a large quantum role, it is reasonable to say that somewhere within the layers of the dreams, the reader may indeed reside there. Regardless, within the cosmology, the reader can be contacted and even interacted with, which, as for those that love the power scaling, which we don't do anymore, shout out to my power scaling era, you guys wouldn't consider something like that to be transcending fiction itself. In the narrative sense of how we're exploring the cosmology now, that means that the structure of Adventure Time and how the cosmology expands encompasses things like the real world, which is really cool to see. Places and concepts within the multiverse, like the time room, exist. This is at the core of the multiverse, and is such a vast existence that the reader itself, indeed, is called upon to help with beings who are located here. The multiverse, indeed, is beyond what we could consider to be a standard multiverse in the general sense. This is much more complicated and much more complex than most multiverses you will often find. The time room itself can also access the idea of eternity. That is, there are infinite events occurring at once throughout the multiverse. Thus, you can become eternal by existing on all of these events and all of these infinite spanning timelines at once. It further cements the idea of the infinite cosmic landscape of the multiverse. There are realms that exist beyond the multiverse, which we just described. This includes realms of pure nothingness. These realms can birth multiverses and are older than concepts like life and death. The power of beings in creation can threaten the reader itself. In fact, it is said that former dreamers had died to things like the cosmic comet. The fact that the cosmology includes the real-world reader and other realms and concepts are above this. Quite frankly, it just makes this cosmology insane. We have entered a truly wacky cosmos. Love itself, in the grand scheme of the cosmology, is a powerful concept that would usurp ideas like magic and science within the verse. This would make it a superior force to both concepts within the multiverse of imagination. Primordial beings and eldritch powers also exist within this universe. This includes beings older than existence itself, that are linked to concepts like chaos and death. The infamous Lich, a villain which we have talked about before and perhaps will return to my channel soon, is considered to rival beings of this tier. To conclude our tour of the cosmos, let's do a recap of the places we visited. The Land of Ooh and the universe. It's a constantly expanding infinite dream connected to other infinite dreams. Then there's the multiverse of infinite and eternal dream dimensions, all of which simultaneously occur and are shaped by magic, science, and love. The realm of nothing and primordials, from beyond the multiverse and its existence. This includes beings that embody concepts like death and magic. Finally, the catalyst comets, and in my opinion, the end of the dream. The dream has to start somewhere. And I personally see the final layer, which isn't really discussed, as like the narrative outer shell of the cosmos. This is beyond all things and helps spark the events and narratives, including crossovers with other popular universes. But in terms of the cosmology of Adventure Time itself, this would conclude our trip through the cosmos. Of the many layers we talked about, of the many places, of the many concepts, what's most interesting to you? Which would you perhaps want to see revisited in A Goon Explains? Let me know in the comment section down below, as well as let me know if you want to see Adventure Time comics explored and broken down in my comic book reviews and storytelling methods. Definitely had a lot of fun doing this verse. Happy to return to it for future content, and I hope you guys enjoy this Exploring Cosmology series. And if you want to see the Souls be explored, let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, it's been your boy, Jobbers and Goons, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.